Hey YouTube, welcome back to my channel. I know it has been a while, but today I am sad to say that we are going to be talking about the downfall of one of my favorite shows. Yes, The Umbrella Academy. Season 4 happened. I wish it didn't happen. Actually, I wish it did happen, but not the way it did happen. And there are so many reasons why. So I thought I'd just put it into a video for you all to see if you agree with me or just to rant a little bit. But yeah, let's get into the many reasons why season 4 Umbrella Academy was the worst season out of all the seasons. So I'm basically just gonna go by the characters and what I thought was wrong with their story or their plot or whatever. So first up, we got Luther. Now, Luther was never one of my favorite characters. I will admit that. Like, great guy, do not get me wrong, but his story was always lacking for me, and that was no difference in this season. Like, Luther, like I said, great guy, but like, what was going on? They made him a stripper. Like, out of all the things that Luther could have did, like, he's a good-looking guy, and even without his super strength, he could have did something other than being a stripper, like a construction worker, worked at Walmart, Home Depot. Like, there were other things the dude could have did besides being a stripper. Like, that was just weird. Plus, no Sloane. Like, that was so sad. That's one of the reasons why I did not like Allison. We'll get into that later. But yeah, she could have got Sloane back, man. Like, that was just so messed up that he found somebody that loved him for who he was, and he was finally happy, and she just got snatched away from him. So that's another thing I did not like about this season, that they didn't bring her back. Also, like I said, there was no plot, there was no growth. He was just kind of there, and yeah, it's just sad to see. Like, it was just not his season to shine. It really felt like there was no season for him to really shine, except for last season, like I said, because he had Sloane. He had that element. There was something interesting going on. This season, they just brought him back down. And yeah, speaking of Allison, after what happened in season 3, I couldn't get on board with her anymore. Like, her story was always lacking, except for in season 2. I think season 2 was her best season, really. But yeah, season 3, she became kind of a villain, and then she didn't make up for it in this season. Like, they didn't really even touch on what she actually did. Like, they said little things here and there, but again, there was no growth, there was no follow through, there was no improvement, there was no reconciliation. There was just, she was just there, you know? Like, she had her little moments with Klaus, and she did save him in the end, and I guess I'll give her that. But yeah, that's about it, really. Like, she did get powers, her powers did grow a bit, and that's fine. But okay, I guess. Like, it would have been nice to hear her say, I heard a rumor, at least once this season, but we did not get that. But yeah, like I said, there wasn't really anything interesting about Allison this season. Like, there was like some passive aggressiveness between the family with her and everything, and she had her cute little moments with her daughter and Klaus, but again, she was just filling up the screen for me. There was nothing there this season for her. Speaking of filling up the screen, and this one saddens me to say, because I love this character. Like, this character is on the top of my list of all the characters that I really like throughout the season, and it's Victor. Like, I understand, because all the other seasons, Victor's had like a pretty good part. Like, the storyline, the plot, usually like surrounded by him quite a bit. So I understand putting Victor on the back seat a bit this season, but yeah, I don't know. I expected more out of him this season, but like I said, I understand putting him on the back and letting some other characters like shine through and do a little bit more this season. But yeah, like I said, Victor didn't really do much. Like, he had his little tantrum with his father in that moment with Hargreaves back at the house or whatever, like really getting his feelings out for him, like how he treated him. It wasn't even him, it's like an alternate version of him, but still, like, I'll give him that. Like, I like the fact that he could get his emotions out and express like how Hargreaves damaged him mentally, like really affected him, the way he treated him and like held him back and all the stuff that happened in season 1. Like, I'll give him that. But other than that, there wasn't too much going on with his character this season. Like I said, I get it, but still. Next, we need to talk about my personal favorite character. It used to be 5, I will say that, but after the season, 5 did drop down for me because of what happened. But yeah, Klaus. I adore Klaus as a character throughout the season. I've always loved his character, his storyline, how funny he is. Like, it just, everything about Klaus, I love him, except for the whole drug addiction part. And that's what my problem with this season is regarding his character. They basically sent him back to the way he was. Like, all the self-progression, self-care that he did just went straight out the window. Like, I see how they made him a germaphobe after losing his powers, which honestly made sense for his character because, you know, after being immortal and now becoming mortal, it's kind of hard to not be afraid of everything because you know that this is your last life. You have one life. So him without his powers being like that makes complete sense. But once he got his powers back, him getting mad at Allison for saving his life was crazy and unnecessary. Like, dude, you were finna die, which was what you were afraid of in the first place. Like, it made sense for you to have your powers back. But even that aside, going back to drugs, why would he do that? Like, after everything that he did, why would he do that? And I get the temptation of going back, like, even if they just did that, like him going to that person and like having a realization that, no, I don't want to do this anymore, I would have gotten that. But the fact that he basically like sabotaged his relationship with Allison's daughter because they had a really good relationship, and he got himself stuck in like a weird situation to where he was basically trapped doing like visitations with people paying to see their family, friends, and whatever, the spirits or whatever, because, you know, he does have a connection to the other side. But yeah, that whole storyline was weird. And then he got trapped in a grave, and I thought he would save himself. I thought that would be like his moments, like, okay, I need to cut it out. I need to, you know, do my big one and no more drugs. I'm gonna save myself. I'm gonna stop depending on other people. But no, he ended up getting saved by Allison and her daughter, which, okay, good for them, good for their storyline. But like, I feel like this season definitely failed Klaus as a character. Like, he deserved so much better. Yeah, genuinely believe he deserved so much better out of this season. A lot of the other characters did. A lot of them did, but especially him. Like I said, he is my favorite, so I am biased. But yeah, that was just such a letdown for me. Seriously. Next up, we have Ben and Jennifer. So I get that they wanted to do something different this season, you know, something, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, I get giving Ben a love interest, but I felt like the love interest was so forced upon us. There was no real connection. It was just like this instantaneous, like, I'm obsessed with you. Like, we're fated to be together type thing. And it's just like, why? Why was it like that? Like, I feel like they wanted us to care more as an audience than I actually did about their relationship. Because like I said, it felt so forced and pushed upon us that there was just no time to be like, oh, they're so cute. Like, I get the connection. They're really, you know, even with the flashback of how he actually, the original Ben actually died because he saved the original Jennifer. It's okay. Like, they have that little cute connection or whatever, but still, like I said, forced. And also, like, if it was, let's say their connection was so strong because of the marigold, like, you know, like I said, the positive and the negative or whatever, like there were two halves of something or whatever, why wasn't everyone obsessed with her like he was? Why wasn't everyone so connected with her like he was? If that's the explanation for it, like, I don't understand that part. Also, why did she end up in a giant squid? Like, where did that come from? That was never explained to us. I feel like that's a bit of a plot hole because, like, they made such a big deal out of it at first. She first, like, showed up or whatever, and They never explained the relevance, how she got there, was she eaten, was she born there? Like, what was the point of that? Was it just to connect her with Ben? Because, you know, I know he got the tentacles and everything, but still, what was the point of her being found inside of a giant squid? Another thing that pains me to talk about, Diego, Lila, and Five. This storyline pained me. Like, honestly, I tried to warp my brain around how that made sense to the plot in some way, somehow possible. I really tried to give them some sort of excuse to why this made sense at all to put into this season. And I couldn't do it. I really couldn't do it because, okay, let's talk about Diego and Lila real quick first. Their dynamic was interesting. Like, I can get that. I get that part of the plot. Like, them getting married, getting used to having a normal life without powers, them both being bored within that life because they're so used to having like this fast life full of like missions and going undercover and doing stuff or whatever. Like, I get that part. I get them trying to find a balance between having the life that they had and also raising kids and being married and everything. Like, I get Lila stepping out and doing her own thing and like going undercover and stuff like that. And I get Diego wanting to be like an FBI agent and dreaming about that and finding some excitement in his life. But, and I even get the part where Diego thinks that Lila's cheating on him and that becoming a thing. But what I do not get is that they put in this season Five and Lila getting together. Like, why did that make sense to put in there? They could have done what they did with Ben and introduced a different character. Like, even though this is the final season, why are you introducing new characters? But they could have They could have introduced a different character that, for Five, I don't know, give him a love interest like that or something, to have somebody else stuck with him in that different universe or whatever, or timeline or whatever. But Lila, his brother's wife, that doesn't even make sense for his character. It didn't. Like, I get him being lonely and wanting somebody. Like, he found Dolores, you know, the mannequin. They could have gave him somebody to look like Dolores or something, and like that could have been a cute little tie over or whatever for him. But Lila, why Lila? That's so gross. And plus, it's like she basically watched him grow up a second time, even though he's an old man in a little boy's body. But still, it made no sense. Why would they do that? That was so unnecessary. That whole plot, story, commotion was so unnecessary. And plus, in the end, there was no real payout for that. Like, all it did was create a rift between Diego, Lila, and Five, especially Diego and Five, and they didn't even get to like talk it out. Like, Five got defensive, Diego got mad, rightfully so, and it was never fixed. They all basically died mad at each other. It was never fixed. That made absolutely no sense. And speaking of the ending, so Ben merged with Jennifer, creating this big monster that was supposed to end the world, to fix it, to go back to the timeline where none of them existed. Hargreave never dropped the marigold, brought his wife back, none of that, no multiple timelines. The original one timeline, whatever. Fine, I get that. Destroy everything, fine. There was the ending felt so bleh, you know? Like, there was no big fights. Obviously, they had the little fights or whatever, but it just felt so, like I said, bleh, you know? There was nothing they could do. And they just accepted defeat, and, like, I get it. They were supposed to or whatever. They just stood in a circle and like, hey, okay, well, we gotta give up. We gotta give up our life and just get out of here, and that'll save the universe, the timeline, or whatever. It felt empty. I don't know. I felt like there should have been some type of ending where like everybody reconciled. Like Allison, her grievances with the family or whatever, that should have been fixed. Like, it was fixed a little bit. Like, they forgave her a little bit, but again, it wasn't really talked about. It's just something that happened. Diego, Lila, and Five, that was not fixed. That drama just happened. The beef, the anger, the hurt feelings, all of that was still there, but they had no time to process that. It was just like, oh, the world's ending. Okay, well, forget about it. it did, the ending just, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't like the ending, man. I don't like it. I don't know what they could have did better. There's a lot they could have did better, actually. But I just didn't like it. Also, what happened to the other people? Because there was a bunch of other people that were born because of the Marigold. And like, I get in this timeline and nobody had Marigold or whatever. But at the same time, did only the original people mattered? Is that what that was? That they had to sacrifice themselves for everybody else to live? Like, why did it not take them getting all the other people back to basically end that? I don't know. That felt like a plot hole to me. Like, why was it only the original people that mattered for the universe to go back to where it's supposed to be? Also, another thing, where was Pogo in all of this? Where was Pogo? I was disappointed that we did not see him this season. I don't know where they could have put him, or like, no, with Hargreaves. Like, Hargreaves had Pogo every single season except for like that one he's at a tattoo shop. But even then, they could have brought Pogo back. He could have been with Hargreaves. He could have been chilling, you know? There was something they could have brought him back for some reason. But like I said, bro, there's just so much wrong with this season. They could have done so many things differently. It could have been better in so many different ways, and I'm disappointed because I've been a fan of this series since it first came out, and I was so excited for this season. You guys do not know how geeked, maybe some of you do because you're a fan as well. I was so geeked for this season, and like literally the second it dropped, the day it dropped, I was there. I was watching. I binged it in the same day. I was excited, and they just, it sucks that was the final season. It really sucks. Especially the whole Diego and Lila thing. Like, and 5, I will never let that go. That was so unnecessary. Everything else, I can excuse everything else in this season, but that I cannot excuse. I'm never letting that go. That was just so unnecessary and weird and out of character. It was, anyway. I know I said a lot of bad stuff about this series, and I stand on everything I said, but I will say that I'm glad that we got a season 4 as it was. I'm glad that we got that wrap up, even though there were still some unanswered questions, some plot holes, and some things that did not make sense for the characters. Like, why would you do that? Anyway, I'm happy. Like, the storyline itself was interesting at some points, like when they were going after Jennifer, who they thought were Jennifer. The town, that episode, that was the best episode of the season. Like, that crazy town or whatever, and they were looking for Jennifer, and like it was, and all the new powers were coming out and everything. Like, that was cool. I will say that a lot of the new powers didn't make sense, or they just weren't useful, and it was just like a upgrade for no reason. But hey, can't complain too much, I guess. Like, especially with Lila's laser eyes, like that made no sense. It didn't like connect or add to her actual powers at all. It was just something that was thrown in there, but I suppose. But again, I'm saying a lot of bad stuff, but there was some good things about this season. Some things that I would definitely change, but there were a few little nuggets. There were a few little moments that they threw in there that actually kept me watching this season. But yeah, that was my little rant about how I felt about this season of The Umbrella Academy. It's the last season. Yeah, sad to see it go, but all good things must come to an end. Could have ended better, but all of the good things must come to an end. But yeah, I will be doing more videos soon. I know I took a little hiatus, but I'll be doing more. Plus, you know, if you want more from me, like more reviews, updates, like just things of that nature, I did create a newsletter and the link is in the description where you can subscribe. It is completely free to use. So, you know, subscribe, support a girl. And yeah, you'll see a bunch of different like updates on movies and TV shows, like stuff that's come out in theaters, new stuff on Netflix, Disney Plus, all that good stuff. Reviews, reaction updates, all the good stuff. So yes, subscribe to that, subscribe here, leave a like, leave a comment, and I will see you guys on the next video.